about the Equator system in some more detail. I had a video recently with just some quick insights to Equator, and as we have been moving through the system with quite a few files, got some new revelations and insights that I thought would be helpful to any real estate agents out there that are having to deal with the Equator system. So let's just jump in here. First of all, in most aspects of the system, we feel like it has truly streamlined the process. Once you get the hang of it, if it's the first time that you're entering information into the Equator system, you're going to want to give yourself an opportunity to figure it out. We got error after error after error trying to figure out the different fields, what they wanted in those different fields. Literally there was one field that by not capitalizing the name, I think it was, it kicked it back as an error. So, just the time involved with figuring out how to enter your file in the first time or the first few times is going to be time consuming. So really allocate some time for yourself in that. Fortunately for us, we had about 30 of these that we were able to transition all at the same time. So for about a week, we were just pushing really hard to get them all entered in, and we figured it out, and now we kind of have it on lockdown, that piece of it. One other thing I'll say at the very beginning of this video here is that, as most of you know, if you're dealing with banks, what's here today can be gone tomorrow, and so that's just kind of my caveat to everything that I say here, is that as of the recording of this video, this is how the Equator system is. It doesn't sound like they're going to be making very many changes, as we found out when we talked to them about the BPO, some of the problems with their BPO fields. But we'll get to that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is go through a couple of key things that you really need to pay attention to, and then just give you a couple of random miscellaneous observations. So the very first thing is homeowner registration for Equator. You, as an agent, need to get your homeowner to register with the Equator system right away at the very beginning. And the reason is that, as you know, or if you haven't done anything with Equator yet, you're going to find out that there's a tasking system back and forth. So when you enter some information into the system, it's going to give tasks to different parties at the lender level, but it's also going to task back to you anything that's missing, which is great. It actually kind of has some accountability back and forth. Here's the problem. You have 7 days to deal with your tasks. If it keeps track of the time that it's taking you to address the task that it's giving you, and if you don't get the task addressed in that 7 days, then it's going to close it out, and you're actually going to get, or your seller is actually going to get a decline letter to their short sale simply because you went a day over. And it literally is, it's not a person going in there and emptying their queue on a weekly basis. It's just, the system is just going to automatically close out the file, remove it from your listings in Equator, and then auto-generate a decline letter. So in order to avoid that and your seller freaking out because they got a decline letter, make sure you're very much on top of all of the different tasks. And the first one is going to be your homeowner setting up their own login to Equator. Alright, another thing is to take advantage of the efficiency of the Equator system. All of us are going to have to do a better job of getting documents early in the process. So I know in some short sale files, you feel like you have enough core documents to submit a file into the bank, and then you gather the rest of the stuff as the bank's processing it or imaging the file or whatever they're doing that takes so long. With the Equator system, that actually can backfire on you, and it has partly to do with the fact that there's a short period of time that they give you for review, or for you to get certain items into them, and they literally are checking them off as they go in. You're uploading authorization, you're uploading purchase and sale contract, you're uploading bank statements, so you're uploading all these items. If you are doing a good job of getting all of the information in a complete package together at the beginning, that is how you're going to maximize the efficiency of Bank of America's Equator system, is by having everything together. If you're missing a document and you upload, 5 out of 7, for example, of the documents that are needed, it's going to task you for those needed items, and if you don't get them within the 7 days, then basically it's going to close it out, and you're basically going to have to start over. So you're going to have to re-upload all of the information, not to mention just the data entry from the beginning. So make sure that you have all the stuff that you're going to need at the beginning so that you're most efficient. Our estimate of time, once we get all of the information from the homeowner and they've registered with the system, is that we should be in queue for assignment to a negotiator within 24 to 48 hours of submitting things into Equator. That's a far cry from the 10 to 12 business days that it took for them to image the stuff into the system to begin with. So that's great news. Expired BPOs, let's talk about this really quick. I mentioned it in my last Equator video, how there was a missing piece in Equator when the BPO expired. Well, that missing piece is going to stay there, and this is a huge tip for you if you're not paying attention to BPOs and when they expire. You need to start doing that. And the reason is because they're not going to make a patch or a fix for Equator. They're going to rely upon us as the negotiator, or you if you're negotiating for yourself as an agent. They're going to rely on you to keep track of how long that BPO is good for and bring that up to their attention so that they can manually go in and adjust the system. Again, this system was created for REOs, not for short sales, and they're kind of utilizing it in a dual sense. Okay, a couple of quick observations I think are going to help you. The pink box or the field that comes up titled held, that means that it's in queue for assignment to a negotiator. They have 15 business days as of the beginning of January 2010. They're estimating 15 business days for that to be assigned. What we've found in reality is that we get a name that pops up in about 3 days or so for a person that's assigned to the file, but that person has no clue that they're assigned. The fields that they see at Bank of America are completely different than the fields that they see here, or we see out here. And so, even though we have a name, the file hasn't actually moved into their queue yet, and the reason is that they're waiting for all of their numbers to come in, all the BPOs or multiple BPOs if the investor requires that. So even though there's a name there, it doesn't mean that they're going to respond to you when you send them an email and say, hey, what's going on, just checking in, or whatever you're doing with that individual, because they haven't received the file yet. Another cool thing that this has changed is that the phase, if you remember, Countrywide Bank of America kind of had a 1, 2, 3 phase process. The cool thing is that combined phase 2 and 3, which was the negotiation and closing agent, and I think that's a good move. That's going to help make it more efficient. We're going to have one person that we're dealing with. Counteroffers, when counteroffers are coming back, it's kind of cool. You get an automated email from the negotiator, and then you log into the system, and basically what it's doing is it's giving you the lines, all of the data that you had input previously when you input the offer. It's going to come back with the counter, and those are highlighted in green, the changes, and so you want to make sure you look at what those green items are so that you know what they're actually countering you for. So those are the big ones, and hope that's helpful. I know that there's a lot of learning curve when a new system like this comes in. The cool thing is that Bank of America's got a learning curve for their associates as well, and so most of them are very pleasant to work with. So if you have a Bank of America file, total side note, just popped into my head, I'm glad I remembered this. Not all investors are allowing Bank of America to utilize Equator. Bank of New York, for example, at this point, it's the only private investor that we've received word from. Bank of New York is the investor on the note. Then they have forbid Bank of America for using Equator, and it has to go through the old process. So knowing your investors is really crucial to being able to process this correctly. So that's all for now. As we get more updates and more insight, we will throw it out here to help everybody become more efficient in your short sales and hopefully close more deals. All right.